Erik Horne here with Andscape's own Bill Rhoden and Jean-Jacques Taylor, president of JJT Media Group, and we are talking about the runaway week for Travis Hunter, Colorado's all everything wide receiver, defensive back. Travis Hunter wins the Heisman this weekend. He also wins at the College Football Playoff Awards. Let me just run through the list because it's a lot. The Chuck Bednarik Trophy for the best defensive player, the Fred Biletnikoff Award for the most outstanding receiver, the Walter Camp National Player of the Year Award. He probably should have won the Jim Thorpe Award, but he didn't. And then he takes home the biggest of them all, the Heisman Trophy. Gentlemen, what more can we say about Travis Hunter? It seems like he's been validated completely by the media. But is this one of the all-time players in college football history? How do we look at what we just saw from this guy in his performance this season?
I look at him like a Steph Curry in this respect. He's changed the game. Steph Curry changed the game by shooting threes. All of a sudden, you had 7-year-olds who can't even get the ball to the bucket trying to shoot 27-foot threes. What Travis Hunter has done, much like Ohtani, is that now when I come from high school, and I've been an all-state receiver and an all-state defensive back or an all-state linebacker and an all-state fullback or running back. No longer is it automatically pick one side of the ball because you can't play both. Now it's, well, you can play both, I think. Let me see if you can play both. And if you can play both, how much can you play? Can you play, 10 snaps a game? Can you play 20 snaps a game? And see what has happened, like Ohio State, I think 2 or 3 years ago, I remember the name because the name was Steel Chambers. He was a running back. He was like fourth team after being all-state in high school or whatever. He couldn't get any run. So they switched him to linebacker. That dude started the next year. Like literally, he started the whole season and played pretty good. And that's like now if he were to show up, maybe not at Ohio State, but maybe some other places, okay, yeah, we can get you some run at linebacker. We're going to take advantage of all your skills. So to me, he's a trendsetter and a game changer, and we'll see the effects in the next decade, much like the dual threat quarterbacks. As soon as people started saying, "Oh, you can run and throw, and we can win like that," now if you ain't a dual threat quarterback, people look at you like you're crazy.
Right, right. Yeah, I was speaking. In fact, I was trying to find it while you were talking, JJT. During the season, I wrote a column about Travis Hunter, and there's a brother who I interviewed. He was he had been the last college guy to kind of do two things.
Miles Jack?
No, he was a defensive back with the Los Angeles Rams for a long time, and he played at Kansas. And I forget his name, but to your point, the thing he was saying, he now coaches high school, and he said that's what he's seeing. Probably because of Travis, everybody now wants to play two ways. So yeah, and so that's one thing. I think it could be a trend, but I guess one thing I know we're going to talk about is I know it's fine in high school and maybe it could work in college, but I guess our question is, can it really work in the NFL? I mean, like full time. Can he do like 90 snaps on one side and 90 snaps on the other in the NFL? Now, the danger of this is, oh no, we can't do that. But there's always somebody who's going to be the first to do that. So,
first off, on the real, in the NFL, it's more like 60 and 60 because those games are usually 120 plays. Right. So physically he can do it, but I think it would be hard to do full time both ways because the athletes are so much better.
Right.
And the fact, when you slow down a tick and your speed during the game goes from 4.2 to 4.3 because you're playing both ways. That other wide receiver that run 4.2 the whole game ain't slowed down. And so right. I think it shows up like that. But that's why I think he'll play cornerback, but you'll have a nice package for him right. at receiver. And when I say I'm not talking about a reverse here and there. I'm talking about, we got some plays for you, and we're going to play you on offense 15, 20 snaps a game yeah. and see what you can make happen. Because if you only play him 3 or 4 snaps, every time you step on the field, it's look for 12, look for 12. But so you got to play him enough so that he blends into the game.
And then, I guess I just think about the physicality, man. I mean, it's such a 100% injury game that you're just going to get hurt. If all you did was play wide receiver, eventually you're going to get hurt just playing wide receiver. And if you're playing defensive back, eventually you're going to get hurt doing that. So that's the only thing. So I think this conversation, is he one of the greatest college players ever? Yeah. And also Jackson State also won the Celebration Bowl, which is, it was win, 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 because Jackson State with Travis and with Prime and with Shedeur came to the Celebration Bowl twice and didn't win it. So I think it's been a nice weekend for Jackson State root sports, from Travis, who, everybody knows started at Jackson State, and I think there's a sense of, I know you talk to a lot of the Jackson State people. I would think and I would hope that there's a sense of pride among Jackson State people that this kid, I know you frown it up, that this kid started here. He's kind of one of ours. We helped him. We do what HBCUs do. We helped launch this kid's career. So, I just think it's
busy being petty about Prime and how Deion Sanders didn't help them at all, which to me is the silliest thing of all. Because one, Jackson State hadn't won anything since 2007 until he showed up. And so, yes, they're like, they were known for having a great program, but in that, for the last decade, they've been irrelevant in terms of winning.
Right.
So
well, he
back.
Yeah, he reinvigorated. I mean, he didn't invent the program. He reinvigorated.
And that's the best way to say it.
Yeah, so
like he had nothing to do with it. It's just,
and I think that's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, we were there in the moment when he left, and we were having a whole discussion about that. About how he left. And when I think what we said was, it was just a matter of time. I mean, it's like you marry, like,
don't go there.
Maryland, I don't want to go there. And you think, man, you can't fall in love with a star of the show. Come on, what do you think happened?
More like falling in love with a stripper.
I think that's probably about as far as we can go, right?
Well, I think the thing about it is, it's okay to say Deion had an impact on our program. He left, and now we're doing well. Because don't forget, who stumped loudest and longest for TC Taylor to get the job? It's Deion Sanders. Yeah. Because he liked what he saw. He thought he could be a leader of men. He thought he would be a terrific coach. He would keep some of the things in place and add his own twist to it and be successful. And lo and behold, he's been successful.
Right. And he's a Jackson State guy, which I think, think for a lot of people that, we could quibble about that, but I think for a lot of people that
it matters.
And, what I thought was fascinating yesterday and Erik, the trustee, as a great editor do, I was down in the press room and Erik sent me the note from the press, how at the very last drive, they started chanting TC's name, which is a big deal. I don't know, how we are. We're hard on people, man.
Yeah.
How we can be. We can be hard. And for Black folks to be chanting his name, to me, I think that was almost, without trying to be too romantic about it, I think it was sort of an official, not coronation, but an official
acceptance.
Yeah, acceptance. We've kind of moved on. I mean, you are a guy until you're not.
Hopefully, hopefully this is the start of TC's reign, meaning Jackson State went through 4 or 5 or 6 coaches in a 10-year period. Now, hopefully he can bring some stability to the job and that he can now be one of those guys who, he was there for, 10, 15 years and really put his stamp on the program. Because again, he was a star receiver there. He knows it. He lives it. He is one of them. And, it's great because he understands the culture that is Jackson State.
Yeah. No, I was thinking, I'm sorry, go ahead, Aaron.
Oh, no, I was just saying how great it was to see that scene I assume that TC Taylor knew his place and knew that he was appreciated by the fan base, but to have that validation happen on a national stage in the biggest game in HBCU football, you could see him getting emotional on the sidelines. It was really cool to see.
And the thing about
he really appreciated it.
He really appreciated it because he wanted the job. Matter of fact, they offered him the interim job, and he's like, don't make me no interim coach. I don't want it unless I got it. And he went hard for it. And then they had some other people they were thinking about. And when they basically called him and didn't give him no notice to come really to interview. Hey, be at my house tonight, President Hudson said, for an interview. But he had already prepared, so he showed up ready to go. And so he did everything he could to get the job. And he said, "Oh, they made a mistake. They didn't give it to me now. It's a wrap." You know what I'm saying? He had that kind of confidence. And so all he needed was some time to run his program.
Yeah. And, the thing, I guess, now the challenge, of course, is, and particularly in this era, you celebrate, excuse me, you celebrate yesterday or Saturday. Now, all of a sudden, you got to look at, you got to almost probably remake the team. How many guys are leaving?
Right.
How many of my guys are leaving? Who can we get? So, and this is peculiar to Jackson State. It's just the way life is. It's a great victory. You win the championship. Now we got to kind of remake our roster. It's almost going to be like a new roster,
Yeah.
But for that day, and not only did he get, I think, emotional when they were chanting his name, when he was talking about it, he got kind of emotional because I think he realized, he talked about how, he'd been going to Jackson State games since he was 10 years old. That's a different kind of thing, man. When you really love something that much and you love a program that much, and then the fans chanting your name and all that kind of stuff. It was just really a nice moment. And then to see a guy like Travis, who you knew and who you kind of coached, to see him win the Heisman, I just think it's just a great, if you coach kids, like you do, Erik, and like I think you do, JJT, if you coach kids or you teach or you're a teacher, one of the best things that could happen is when years later you see them really succeed in life.
Yeah.
And Travis is on his way, basically on the field. So.
Let's shift it to Deion real quick. I'm watching Travis's kind of acceptance speech, and just the emotion he shows with Deion, the way he thanked Deion and Shedeur. They got Lil Wayne sitting next to him on the front row.
His fiance,
yes, his fiance is Travis's mom. I mean, this been a pretty successful past couple of weeks for Deion Sanders. Whether it's the recruiting wins, obviously qualifying for a bowl game weeks ago, being able to be on the biggest stage with Travis. They have a chance to have the top 2 picks in the NFL draft. What, if anything, do we have to say about Deion Sanders now, Colorado? Travis basically said that Deion's coming back. I mean, we went into this season with expectations of, okay, they got to show us something. They got to show us more. I feel like they passed every test, aside from being in the college football playoff, which was not on the radar for us. You probably couldn't ask for much more from a recruiting standpoint, from a momentum standpoint, if you're coming back to a program to do what Deion Sanders has done in the past few weeks, and to cap it off on Saturday with the way that Travis was emotional about their relationship and what Prime has done for them.
I think the thing, I've said this many times, but it bears worth repeating. Deion, there are people like this in life, and he's one of them. Some people just understand how to win. I mean, that's just what they do. And in every facet of their life, they know how to win. Some of them we know about because they're famous. Others we don't know about because they run businesses that just make money and they're very successful there. But some people just understand how to win at the level where they can replicate it, and it doesn't matter where they go or what they do, because the same principles apply. And Deion's kind of like that. No matter what he does, he understands how to win. Some of it is he works extremely hard at winning. I tell the story all the time. When back before people had DVD players, he had a personal DVD player in the late 90s that he would take with him on a plane so he could watch tape on the flights and after the flights. Nobody else was doing that. And then, I was talking to Mark Spears from Andscape. I was talking to him the other day about something, and he was talking about a situation where the best players were staying after practice working. Like, you would think if the guys who weren't the best players saw Steph Curry after practice taking up shots, you'd be like, well, dang, if Steph is taking shots after practice, perhaps I should. I saw it for myself in Dallas with Dirk Nowitzki. He'd be after practice shooting another 30 minutes by himself. And you would think nobody thought that if Dirk is taking extra practice, extra shots, maybe I should. Then people are built different. So Deion is one of those cats. And so if you give him time, it's important because he got to do it his way. He ain't not compromised. But you get out of his way and let him put his plan in motion, he tends to win because he understands how to win.
Yeah. But I mean, to your point or to the question, Eric, yeah, I think that, he's won for this juncture. No question about it. We talked about at the very beginning of the year. I was very clear. I said, okay, last year was great. It was great for us. It was great for us as a story. It was wonderful, man. It couldn't help. But now we need more than that. We need victories, and we got victories. And actually got within a victory or two in playing for the championship. I mean, not for the championship, but going to the playoffs, going to the Big 12 playoffs. So I think that you raise expectations, then there are more expectations. Yep. So now, and that's the only problem with that. You raise the bar and they expect you to clear the bar. So now going back, and then the dilemma is that the bar is higher, but you just lost two of your greatest guys. You lost your quarterback and you lost the Heisman Trophy winner. So those are two things to feel. And again, maybe the advantage of that is that if I'm a young cat, I'm saying, you know what? I want to go to Colorado because if I'm a defensive back, I got a shot. If I'm a wide receiver, I got a shot. If I'm a quarterback, I really got a shot. So it's the thing. But again, I'm intrigued by next year. I'm intrigued by next season.
Yeah, well, now it's about, you've shown us you can win. Now it's about, can you build a program? Yeah. And, that's why it was important that they got two, All-American freshman linemen this year. They added two more, four-star caliber linemen in the recruiting thing. They're in the portal now. So now it's about sustainability. But, and time will tell. But he knows what's required to win. He showed he can win. And so, again, if you're not going to Alabama, Ohio State, Michigan, one of those blue blood programs, what better place to go to win than Colorado right now?
Yeah. And even, everybody at that level is in the same boat, whether you're at Alabama or Tennessee, whatever, because, it's a double-edged sword that everybody's getting these kids. You got to talk about 18, which Bill Belichick is probably going to find out pretty soon. You're dealing with these 18, 19-year-old, 20, and, when you don't get to playing time, when the first time things don't go your way, all these people are dealing with that. They're all dealing with all this turmoil, whether you're in Alabama, Tennessee, or Colorado. Maybe to your point, Colorado may be, he may be fortunate because, he's not, maybe the expectations aren't the same as they are at Texas or at Georgia, that you'll be really happy next year just to be in the Big Ten title game and to maybe be in the teams of 12. So I'm very excited about seeing the next chapter. I'm excited about seeing Deion's next chapter. I'm excited about seeing Travis's next chapter, and I'm really excited to see Shedeur's next chapter. Where is he gonna go? What's he gonna do without his daddy? I shouldn't say that, without his daddy.
Perfect segue, Bill. Like, I'm looking at the draft lineup here, the draft order, and the Giants and the Raiders are 1 and 2 right now. We had some video out there this weekend. Shedeur throwing passes to Malik Neighbors in New York. Obviously, I think Shedeur is probably going to be within those first couple of picks. But then you have curious cases like, teams like Jacksonville and Carolina and Tennessee and Cleveland. They're really only a game behind as far as, jumping up to get the number 1 pick. So there are a lot of options there for him, at the top of the draft. I feel like Travis is probably going to end up being in that top 5 too. I wonder if a team like Carolina, if they were to get the number 1 pick, would pick Shedeur and then kind of punt on the whole Bryce Young experience, even though Bryce Young's been playing better. But, we've made it clear on here, we do not want to see Shedeur Sanders in New York.
Right.
From a marketing standpoint, that would be incredible for him, and for the Colorado program too. I think it would have a trickle down effect. But we continue to kind of look at it as like, okay, Las Vegas is probably the place, even though, frankly, as far as management and talent, that's not a great place for him either. The only perk about that to me is that it's indoors.
Yeah,
All of these
Right.
teams, no matter where he goes, he's not going to be in a great situation
Right.
unless somebody trades up to get him.
Right.
What you're looking for, and I haven't looked at it closely yet, is you're looking for organizational stability and organizations that have a good track record of success overall over a period of time, even if they may have had a bad season or two to get here. But the only good thing about the Raiders is Tom Brady's involved with the organization, and so you would hope that he would bring something to the table in terms of quarterback and structure with a young quarterback, and he has a relationship with Shedeur, so he's more personally invested. The Giants have stability as an organization in general. They just haven't been good in a long time. It's a lot like you don't want to go to Cleveland, a place that hadn't been good in 30 years. Who's surprised that Caleb Williams is having issues in Chicago with front office and management because that's what they do.
Right.
So that's why the best thing is the organization matters much more than their current thing. It's organizationally how have they been over a period of time for the best fit, because you go to the wrong place, man, it can ruin your career before you even get started.
Yeah. And I think in an ideal world, it probably can happen that to me, a great landing place for him would be LA with the Rams. If some kind of way the Rams could work some magic and trade up or down, whatever they got to do to get Shedeur, because I think he needs that. He needs to play in back of a guy like Matthew Stafford, who pretty legitimately probably has a couple more years left, and it's a very stable organization. It's in a city that he likes. I just think it would be really, really nice to have that luxury. But unfortunately, that's what Caleb Williams' dad was saying. He just hated the whole idea of this draft where you work hard to be a first round draft choice, and you get rewarded by being at the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
And that's just terrible. And to see Shedeur, and particularly this is going to be his first time without his father, and you go like an awful franchise, and who knows what coaching you're going to get, So, I hope for his sake, it's by some miracle he would go to a place like the Rams, but I think they'll probably be too low, or even Seattle. Even Seattle would be good, where you could actually be behind a guy like Geno Smith. If we could just pick the spot where he would go. If we could pick the spot, that would be. I'd pick Seattle. I'd pick Los Angeles, or maybe even San Francisco.
If you could pick the spot, I think Pittsburgh is a no-brainer to me, because if you're talking about organizational competence, good coach, and then you've got a quarterback situation where Russ isn't going to last forever, and then Justin Fields is kind of a wild card. Pittsburgh is an ideal situation, but they're not going to be in position to do it. I think that would be the perfect spot for him, for me, just as far as him being insulated. Or, frankly, Atlanta, if they wouldn't have drafted Michael Penix, but they already drafted Michael Penix. So, I don't know, man. I'm not as worried about Travis, though. I think Travis is going to be fine, because I think as a defensive back, you can be successful whether or not, you have the organizational competence or not. I think people will look at like your individual kind of status as a defensive back and how you can play. But if you don't have an organization behind you as a quarterback, you're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's bottom line.
Yeah. That's a good point. Less concerned with Travis. I mean, his only thing will be, I think anytime you go in the league with a Heisman, that automatically puts a target on your back, because people want to see you earn it. And I mean, are you that good and all that? I think I don't know this for a fact. I think the history of Heisman Trophy winners who are not quarterbacks doing well may be a little better than Heisman Trophy winners who are quarterbacks. I think there may be a better history of success. I'm just saying, I'm just this is a talk show. I don't know. I haven't looked at the history of it. It sounds good. It sounds like it makes sense. But I'm with you though, Eric. I'm not as concerned with Travis. Like, I'm not really as concerned with Travis.
No, I think Travis is going to be okay no matter what. And if he ends up going in those top 5 picks and he goes to a team like a Carolina or a Jacksonville, yeah, would you like to see Travis in a better situation? Of course. But if we're talking about the two-way possibilities too, Travis can help those franchises. He can help a Bryce. He can help a Bryce Young, who needs more weapons around him. He can help a Trevor Lawrence, who needs more stuff around him as well.
Oh, no doubt. And that's, again, it matters what fit. Because who you are, you're also going to sell tickets as two-way Travis.
Right.
See what you can't see anywhere else in the league. So all of that matters, and that's what's going to be very intriguing. And then you don't know if somebody, depending on who ends up with one of those top 2 or 3 picks, if they don't need a quarterback, then the game within the game begins. Who wants to trade up? What good team wants to trade up? Even if you have a quarterback and stash him for a year. What team wants to go make a move to add Travis because he's a kind of a generational talent. So, it's all going to be interesting when those guys come to the top.
Yeah. Going to be plenty of great roundtables. I mean, we have so many great things, the combine, the draft, so many great things, so many great chapters ahead, not to even mention, Prime going back to Colorado. How's this young quarterback he's got coming in, and, what about at Jackson State? Kind of like on the side, it's so funny because TC Taylor and Prime, basically their careers are parallel, but when TC was a head coach his first year with Prime's first year, Colorado, I think I've got that right?
Yeah.
So that'll be intriguing too, though not at the same stage. I think more people will care about Prime and Colorado than people about TC Taylor at Jackson State. But it's great. It's great. We cannot lose, which is the only thing that matters, that we can't lose.
All right, guys, let's wrap it up. Thanks for joining us once again. We will be back next week to talk a little bit of bowl season. We'll see if Shedeur starts mingling with anybody else. Maybe you see him hanging out with Brock Bowers or something like that, or Antonio Pierce on the weekend or something like that. We'll see what happens. And look, maybe he'll be hanging out with Lil Wayne in New Orleans with Derek Carr. Maybe that'll be the next thing that's happening.
That's so funny. That could be a nice series. Seeing Shedeur playing dominoes with Antonio Pierce.
Yeah.
Playing volleyball with Brock Purdy. Playing, doing what that'll be who is Shedeur interacting with.
We got to be on Shedeur watch now. Since Travis knows that Deion's coming back to Colorado, we got to be on Shedeur watch. That's what we're on now. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us once again. Make sure to check out the roundtables on Andscape.com and on YouTube. And we will see you again next week.